Everyone, and welcome to today's morning matcha, Monday morning matcha with Marilu. As you know, my name is Marilu Meiring, and I'm here today to actually talk about something really, really interesting. But before we get started, I have made myself again another matcha latte, as they would say, and I'm curious to find out after I had told you about the matchas, if you had gone to try them at the very least. And if you have, I'd love to hear about what your experience have been with matchas. As explained, matchas are really good for you. It's basically green tea powder, and I love it because it has a very unique taste, but I really enjoy that taste. I know that it's really good for my body. It helps me to detox as well, and it's although I still enjoy my coffee, don't mistake, I am very pleased to know that this is something that I can enjoy as well. So apologies. Um, so I'd like to know from you if you have tried the matchas and what you think. If you think they're horrible, please be honest. But this is my morning matcha that we're going to be enjoying this morning. Well, it is the second week in February, and this year's definitely started off with a bang. For me, every single year, this time of year flies by, and then it slowly starts to slow down around July, August, September, and then it feels like there's just something new about the end of the year as well. And we are very excited this week. In my household, we've got a birthday party coming up. And so in my household, we celebrate birthdays. We make a big thing about it. And it's not just a one-day celebration. We start almost like the entire month. We have a bit of a celebration on and off during the month. And so we are very excited to be sharing or enjoying a 7th year birthday this coming weekend, which is very exciting. But with that, the whole thing about celebrating and having parties and doing this celebration, it brings up the topic that we are going to discuss today. And this is this thing of you made your New Year's resolutions in the beginning of the year. You set out, and I know for a lot of people, it's got to do with their health or their weight, that they want to lose weight, they want to get into shape, they want to feel fantastic in their bodies, and you should. And then the year gets started. You have, for instance, the school start. So the year start, you get off, you have a couple of days that's really good, and then there's maybe one day where it's a bit of a hiccup, and you still try and go for your New Year's resolutions, and then school starts, and all of a sudden you're bombarded with all sorts of sports activities, projects that needs to get done, homework that is just overloading, and then on top of that, there's also work is off on a back into the rat race. You're racing, you're up early mornings, and you try and do everything that you could. And then, like for me, you have unforeseen circumstances that also just hits you, completely blindsides you, and you have to deal with all of that. And what happens is, I'm sure for you as well, is that you find yourself in a place where those New Year's resolutions are out the door, and you wake up like the second week of February and you go, wow, okay, I was really determined to make this happen this year. And again, I found myself that I did not stick to my routine that I wanted to set out on. And now it's already almost like a week or two later, and you're just stuck into this run, this almost like catching your tail kind of like rat race, where you just want to get by. You just want to survive the day. You just want to get through today in one piece, please Lord, and get through the week and just at least get to not have any balls drop. Other than that, this big ball has dropped on your great New Year's resolutions. And so what happens in that? Why does that happen? And today's talk, I want to actually go deeper into why is it that we can't seem to stick to our New Year's resolutions. And in true style, I do have my notes with me, so I'm going to just use them as well. So let's quickly just talk about that. So that in itself is a bit of a cycle. This thing of starting New Year's resolutions and a couple of weeks in, you fail them and they go by the wayside and you just kind of carry on with life. Doing it year after year after year after year. That in itself is a cycle. Now, I am not judging. I have been there. I know what that is like, but it is very important that we break these cycles because they are very damaging. And there's a lot of science that have also proven that when you make certain promises to yourself and then don't fulfill those promises, it actually chips away at your self-confidence. And you can just maybe go and meditate on that. Like, how many times have you said to yourself, I'm going to do this? And then just before you have to do it, you come up with all sorts of excuses of why you can't do it. And this is too difficult, or this is that. And you don't actually keep your promises to yourself. We're very good with keeping promises to other people. Or I hope you are. I'll be speaking under correction if I say that, but let me put it that way. We are better at keeping promises to other people than actually sticking to the promises that we make for ourselves or to ourselves. And so when we let ourselves down, it is a massive hit to your self-confidence. And you can just imagine doing this year after year after year after year. You'll finally get to a place where you actually don't even want to set any more goals because you actually just know that you're going to disappoint yourself. And so it is so important that we have integrity when it comes to the promises that we make ourselves, because it speaks to our inner being of that we are worthy and that we are important and that we have value, and it is very important. So therefore we have to keep our promises to ourselves. So I want to go and address a couple of things and just go through a couple of things to why this possibly could not have worked, or why you possibly couldn't maintain the routine that you have set out for yourself. And the first thing for me is almost it's an obvious one, but it's one that we sometimes deny. And it is the reason of, where is your health a priority? Now, I know that when we look at these pictures and people are absolutely beautifully in shape, you go, wow, I want to look like that. So yes, I'm going to do this. I want to be fit. I want to be strong. I want to be lean. I want to look like that in a bikini. Yes, I want to get going with this. But if you're absolutely 100% honest with yourself, you need to ask, where is this on my priority list? Because as soon as something happened, like your child gets sick, or your boss phones, or your client phones, and you have to jump, and now you can't get to your training session, or you can't spend that time making that meal that is so healthy and delicious for you, where is your priorities? And there's nothing wrong with being completely honest and saying, you know what? Yes, my children is a higher priority than my health. And I think moms, we are very guilty of this, where we do prioritize other people's health before our own. I totally understand it. It's not like you do that every single day because your children are healthy and they're amazing. But when it comes to a sick child, I would cancel my training session and I would attend to my child. Definitely. So I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying the reality of it is that there is a priority list, and no priority is equal. And no priority stays at the same level of priority over time. So it also depends on where you are at in your life. So you have to sit down and actually be 100% honest with yourself to where those priorities are. And you'll find out when things are popping up and you're making excuses to like why you can't attend to your training program or your eating plan or whatever, what is the higher priority? So I'd love you to sit down and meditate on this and go and actually list down what is your priorities. Guys, I just want to pause there for a second and say, I am not a big fan of Hadidas, and they seem to find me, especially when I'm doing these lives. So if you hear this like funny noise in the background, it's the Hadidas that are competing with me. I rebuke them in Jesus' name. But nevertheless, I'm For me, they're similar to mosquitoes. I don't know why they are created, but nevertheless, we'll have that question on a divine level one day. Okay, so that is the thing about priorities is where is your priorities? And again, no judgment. Go and list down what is priorities. What do you think are your priorities? And we sometimes make up these priorities, like we list, as Christians, we'll list God is my top priority, and then my spouse or my health is my second priority, and then kids and work and whatever. But when life happens, that's the true revelation of where your priorities lie. And so use what you've seen in your past and write that down, note it. And if you're not happy with that, change it. Okay. We can change. That's the beauty about being human, is that you can change. Nothing is set in stone. So priorities, that is the first thing. Then my second question to you is, what and where is your focus at when it comes to your health? What are you focusing on? Are you focusing on the goal? Are you focusing on the journey? Are you focusing on your why? Or are you focusing on the excuses? And let me give you some examples. So let's say, for instance, you are focusing on your goal. So your goal is that you want to lose 10 kilograms. That's what you want to lose. That is your goal. You want to be able to lose a certain amount of weight, and you out to get that done. So that's the goal. Are you focused on the goal? Now, people that are focused on the journey is people that go, okay, I know that my goal, or that I want to get to, like losing 10 kilos, but I'm on a journey. So I'm going to see how today goes. And today you go to the training and you kind of just follow it, the program day by day by day, and see how it goes. And so for those people, you don't necessarily have an end goal time. So you don't have a deadline. Goal-driven people normally have deadlines, like by this day, I want to be able to lose this amount of weight, or be able to run 5 kilometers, or whatever the case may be. Where journey people are, every day, we're going to see what today brings. And so there's no necessarily time deadline to people that are journey focused. Then you have people that are why focused. And I almost want to say, if I had to choose which one is the better one to be focused on, it is the why. And I'll explain to you as well. I'll explain to you why the why is important. But why is so important? To give you an example of a why is, let's say I do want to lose weight and I want to be healthy and I want to be able to move around and be fit and be strong. My reason for why I want to do that is, I know for me, I know that it adds to longevity. I also know that, having seen it in my own life, I want to be able to one day, when my children are bigger, be able to go on mountain bike rides and races and do that with them when they're older and they can do that. I also know that I had my children quite late in life. I had them at my late 30s, literally 37, 39. And if they decide to do the same, I'm going to be quite old when they have grandkids. And I still want to be an active grandparent and be actively involved in their lives. So I know that I need to make sure that I invest in my health and my fitness now, that when it causes that longevity, I'm not like a cranky old lady one day, but that I've maintained my youth. Even though I'm counting the calendar years, I've maintained my youth, and I can play around, I can still run around, I can still, roll and bend and, be able to jump. And I've seen old people, when I say old people, calendar old people, be so youthful. And so I know 100% that it's possible. And that is what I want. So my investment in you could say that that's a goal, but for me, it's a why. The why, the reason why I have certain goals. So I'm personally not perturbed. I don't really actually mind what my weight is per se. It's about energy levels. It's about my quality of sleep. It's about how I feel, how positive I am. I know that my health quality actually allows for all of that, and daily investing into maintaining that is key for me, and that's my key indicators. So that is the why people. And maybe you are a why person, and maybe you have never thought about having a why. You've always just had a goal, or you were always just journey driven. And now you might understand why. And the reason why I think whys are so important to have is when the days get difficult. Like, for instance, there have been times where I'm in the gym and I am training super hard, and I just hit a brick wall where I think to myself, if they open that door right now, I am running out of there. Yes, I do have those days, but it is like I really have to work with myself. Now, if I'm goal driven, it could maybe still keep me there, although I could argue that, I'll just do it tomorrow, I'll work harder tomorrow, or I can talk myself out of it. Where if I'm a journey person, I might just go, well, I don't really feel like it today, I'm going to do it tomorrow, and again, I can talk myself out of it. When you have a why that is just so much bigger than you, especially when it's bigger than you, when it's got to do with other people, and in this case, in my example, it is about family and generations to come that I still want to be actively involved in, my why is so much bigger. I know that I want to be able, even in today, I want to be able to be strong enough that, let's say I find myself in a very difficult situation. Maybe, I don't want to speak it over myself, but maybe I find myself in a dangerous situation. I want to be able to be strong enough to pick up my kids that are already weighing quite heavy. I want to be able to pick them up and run and know that I can do it. And can you, maybe this is a bit of a challenge for you, but can you do it? And so every day when I'm in the gym and things get hard and I go, oh, I don't want to be here, this is so hard, that pops into my mind. My why pops into my mind. Marilee, are you strong enough to, if anything happens, be able to pick up your kids and run for, and if 12, then we end because I so that I can actually do that. So that very why that all excuses. Your focus is this excuse. Somehow you have conditioned your mind excuses. I'm and I maybe need to reduce person. There is deep personal growth and personal this, and I would highly recommend that you start there because let's be honest, I think every excuse is legitimate. Don't have the skills, don't have the equipment, don't have the money, don't have the time, don't have the talent, and in that, I was listening this weekend. I was playing tennis, and my tennis coach was saying to me, he had a lady. He was complimenting me on that I could play so well. And then he was explaining to me they had this lady that it took her 2 years to actually get to the point where she could do what I could do in a couple of lessons. Now, this is not to point out how well I can play tennis. It is amazing that you have people that are so determined that they don't have the skill, they don't have the talent, but they have the determination, and they would stick it out for 2 years. And now she's playing league tennis. She's part of club tennis. She has developed herself, even though she never had the right cards dealt to her to actually do this. And so if you're an excuse person, we need to you don't have to. If you choose to, I would highly recommend that inner healing that needs to happen, because we are all conquerors and we're all victorious, and you can truly do anything that you put your mind to. So all of that is point number 2. Now, my point number 3 is why you could possibly have found yourself in a place where you have failed in keeping to your New Year's resolutions is proper planning and proper preparation. Planning and preparation is absolutely key. I almost want to say 80% of success is all in the planning and the preparation. Now, planning and preparation is not a one-time thing. It continues. It continues into your journey, because you'll plan and prepare for something, and then you start it, and then you might hit a challenge, and then it's back to the drawing board on, okay, how can we tweak things? How can we pivot certain aspects so that I can continue doing what I need to do? Maybe it's something like your kids all of a sudden needs to be at school, sports practice earlier in the morning, and now that interferes with your exercise class. So, okay, so how can we tweak things that I can still attend my exercise classes, or I can still get to do my training? So planning, but if you don't have a plan and you don't have the necessary preparations like having your calendar ready, making sure that your bags are packed before the night before, making sure your meals are prepped for the week. So that takes up, not having to spend so much time in the kitchen during the week. Whatever the planning and the preparation is absolutely key. Because if you have a skeleton plan of some sorts, you can always change and chop and do it, but you have a standard of a plan out there. And maybe that is the reason why the New Year's resolutions fell apart, because you didn't put in the proper planning. And sorry that I'm pointing fingers, but it's sometimes we don't know what we don't know until someone points it out. And so planning and preparation, absolutely key for success, especially in the area of health. The thing about health, it is actually quite amazing. Everything else in life you can outsource except your health. Health is one of those things that you have to do yourself. You cannot outsource it to anyone else. You can get support, and you can get skills, and you can get accountability. But ultimately, what you do to your body, what you put into your body, how you think with your mind is what is going to roll out. And so health is the one thing in your life that you cannot outsource. You can't pay someone else to do it, even though that would have been amazing. So it's the one area where we actually have to take the reins and do it properly. So in that, what I also want to suggest, maybe, again, just depends on different people, but maybe you need to track your progress. Maybe you haven't really recognized the progress because you are with yourself 24/7. You haven't really seen the progress in terms of centimeters or in energy levels. And because you haven't tracked it, you don't recognize it. And then you feel a little defeated after a couple of weeks and you go, oh, is this actually working? I know that is one of the biggest things that actually snowballs people off their track, because if you don't see results, why are you doing it? I mean, those are the things that happens in your mind. And so by tracking your progress, even if it's little steps every single day, is so important. If you have a step counter, you can maybe set some goals for the week and see that every week you increase that. Maybe it's a case of where you actually take your waist centimeters and see how that improves. Maybe you can score your energy levels on a daily basis, and over time actually track and see, wow, that it's actually improved. Maybe you can take some selfies of your entire body and see, how am I looking in these different weeks as I'm progressing? And then celebrating that. I know that, we train ourselves. We train our bodies and we train our minds. Now, when we celebrate our little small victories, what we do is we create a little more of a desire to do it again, It's that, when you are being praised, like, well done, Marilee, you've done it so well. You are even more motivated to get it done. It's you can approve of yourself. Okay, you can approve of yourself and the victories that you have. So go and do it. High five yourself if you have to. I had one of those moments this weekend where I achieved my 200 classes in the F45 training. So I was just so stoked. I've been working 3 years to get there, in between injuries, having the ability to go and not go. And finally, I have achieved my 200 classes. And I'm so proud of myself. I am. I feel so stoked. Got a little t-shirt and I can wear the t-shirt. It's great. So it's very, very important. And then along with that is understanding that when you do have a down day, or maybe you've tracked yourself and say, oh, this is not going too well, to immediately get up. Maybe pivot your way of doing things. Maybe pivot your diet, your exercise routines, whatever it might be, but not give up. Just immediately get up and go again. And this is actually what leads to my next point, is motivation. Now, Motivation is such an interesting topic because motivation, we always think that, we want to have others motivate us. We go and listen to motivational speakers. Motivational speaking, there isn't actually such a thing because motivation comes from within. Inspiration is there, so we can find inspiration with others or by others or what others have done. We find inspiration by what they've done. But motivation absolutely comes from within. And the way that it starts is it is with momentum. So momentum is getting started. And as soon as you get started, the more momentum you put to something or the more you continue with that momentum, you actually build onto your motivation. So the hardest part of a health journey is absolutely the start of it. It's just to get going. It's just to get started, getting to that starting line and taking those first couple of steps. That is the hardest part because you have to actually go from a potential energy to a kinetic energy, if that makes sense. So from a complete standstill into moving forward, it's the hardest part. But once you get going, then motivation is super, or it comes easier. And then the challenge is not to stop, because then you have to start that process all over again. You never want to just stop. Just even if you go slightly slower, but never lose your momentum. And I want to give the example of driving a car. The hardest part to steering a car is when it's standing still. It is so hard to move a vehicle or to steer the wheels when the car's standing still. However, when the car's moving forward, even to a degree when it's moving backwards, but especially when it's moving forward, it's much easier to turn the steering wheel because there's momentum. And the same thing applies to motivation. And then it comes to accountability. Now, not everyone needs accountability. Some people are super disciplined and they are very much accountable to themselves. To the majority of us, and I include myself in that, we need accountability. Accountability is key for numerous reasons. Number one, we were never meant to do life on our own. So just in that, it is super enjoyable to do things with other people. Now, you might have a friend that is doing it with you, and then that is fantastic because that's the best kind of accountability. Because I might sleep late if I know she's not coming, but if I know she's coming, I'm definitely getting out of bed because I don't want to disappoint her. I don't want to let her down. So that sort of accountability is brilliant. But maybe you don't have a friend training with you, but you have a friend that you check in with and she checks in with you and you share notes and you share your progress. Or you have a community of people that you do that with where everyone shares their winnings for the week and what they've learned that week. Maybe they have failed in the area and now they can share it with other people and people can relate and support and encourage again to get moving. That sort of accountability is so super important. And if you don't have that, it makes things a lot more difficult. It makes tapping out just too easy. Okay, so we want to, I know, like, I'm sharing from my own notes again. When I'm in the training class and I said class, they're like a very Australian class. Anyway, so when I'm in my training class and I am doing exercise and we have all our trainers walking past. Now, all of them are obviously, they are so well built and they are just, motivating us and getting going. I know when they're not looking, I can go, I can breathe. But when they pass me, I know that I'm always like trying my hardest and doing my best. Because firstly, I know they're going to like tune me if I don't. So I don't want to be tuned because they tune loud and then everyone hears that you're not doing the exercise. But I also know that, it's so good if you get that stamp of approval by someone that's already doing it well. So if I'm doing my weights and my trainer's coming to me and saying, no, you're looking good. Well done. Keep on going. Then all of a sudden I just go, okay, maybe I should go a bit heavier, Like that's how accountability works. So do find you someone that can be accountable to. It is absolutely, absolutely key. So those are some pointers that I wanted to share with you today because it's so important to understand why we felt. Now, we are a month and a half into the year. There's still an entire year ahead of you. So if you have failed your New Year's resolutions, I want you to put it in the past, Don't worry about that anymore. Today is a new day. And I would love you to actually pick up your reins again and get going. And with this, I want to invite you to come over on Wednesday evening at 7 o'clock. We're going to do a live. It will be on Zoom. I'm going to try and see if I can stream it to Facebook Live as well. But we are going to have a talk on Wednesday evening about weight loss, but through gut health. Now, if you have never thought about it that way, I want to really motivate or inspire you to come and listen to our talk, because we're going to talk about the importance of gut health in your journey to losing weight. If you maybe you've never thought about it. Yes, we have to eat healthy, and yes, we have to exercise, and maybe you've been bought in on a miracle pill or patch or whatever the case may be that helps you lose your weight. I want to inspire you and tell you all of those things are brilliant. But if your gut health and your gut biome isn't set up correctly, you're really going to struggle to lose the weight. And I don't want to tell you more because then I'm giving away our talk, but I'd love you to come and listen. It's a free talk. Anyone can join. It's going to be on Wednesday evening at 7 o'clock. I will share the link below so that you can come and register. It's very important that you book your seat so that you can come and listen. But in there, you're going to learn a massive amount of why, again, your weight loss journey has been such a struggle and what you can do to actually pick things up and lose weight very easily. Without necessarily, being so heavily focused on just the exercise or heavily focused on just the diet. I'd really like to invite you to come and listen, because not a lot of people talk about this, weight loss through gut health. Gut health is such a topic. It's a very popular, trendy word, but people don't understand what it actually means. It's got to do with the microbes in your gut. Again, I feel like I just want to start teaching you because I'm so passionate about it, but I'd love you to come and listen. Book your spot. Click on the link below. Follow me this week. We'll be sharing the links everywhere. Come and book your seat. It's a free talk. Invite your friends, invite your family, everyone that you know that's been struggling to lose weight. I know that the doctors talk a lot about that. In order to be healthy, you need to lose weight. We believe that in order to lose weight, you need to be healthy. That's actually how it works. And so I'd love you to come and listen to our talk. It is going to be a life-changing talk. I believe we're going to give a lot of value through this talk, and it might just be a great starting point for you to get this year off on a reset, to get to your goals or to highlight your whys. So with that, my friends, I'm going to love and leave you. I'm going to enjoy my cold cup of matcha now, and we will see you again next week for our next Morning Matcha with Marilu.